Wisconsin now, so we got to get that straightened out so we're not having those safety issues and chances of somebody getting hurt. Okay. Friday, LK is going to be here, so they're going to be coming through a tour to find out, see what the new plant looks like, but plus talk about the late deliveries and missed shipments that we've had. And then Sherline's coming Wednesday to talk about paint trays, about the color issues and the issues we've had with deliveries and color and defects, holes in paint trays and so forth on Wednesday. So we've got some big, important customers coming in this week. We want to make sure we're ready for that, okay? All right, so after we talk about Bumper Works, the bad old days of distribution. When Toyota introduced its Corona model in America in 1965, it suddenly began to sell large numbers of cars. These needed service parts, everything from new bumpers to replace those crumpled in accidents like Bob Scott's, to oil filters and spark plugs for periodic maintenance. Because of the long shipping time from Japan, Toyota needed large stocks of parts in North America and soon built a network of warehouses called Parts Distribution Centers, or PDCs, stretching from Los Angeles to Boston. In 1965, the Toyota production system was just being implemented in Toyota supplier plants in Toyota City. No one had given any thought to applying TPS principles to Toyota's Japanese service parts warehouses, much less in faraway American warehouses. As a result, the 11 PDCs Toyota built in the United States were laid out like every warehouse in America. Each had vast bins stacked to a high ceiling, thousands and thousands of them, one for each type of part. The bins were lined up in long rows to create endless aisles in massive square of a building. The PDCs received parts from Japan in sealed containers, typically in large batches coming off massive container ships at weekly intervals. When the containers arrived at the PDC, they were opened in receiving area, and parts were then given to stockers with carts who walked up and down the aisles placing parts in proper bins. Because 15 days were required back in Japan to assemble and order, another 38 days were required for ocean shipping, and 5 days were needed to PDC to bin the parts. The PDC needed to order parts at least 58 days ahead of probable need to ensure uninterrupted supplies to Toyota dealers. Toyota dealers like Sloan Toyota place orders of parts once a week by estimating likely increases or decreases in demand before the next weekly order. Because these forecasts were often wrong, they produced what Toyota calls created demand. That is, dramatic waves of orders traveling up the value stream that are unrelated to the actual demand expressed by real customers like Bob Scott. When the weekly orders were received at the PDC, a picker was dispatched to collect the appropriate parts from the appropriate bins and appropriate aisles and take them to shipping. The parts were delivered to the dealer by common carrier truck service the next day. Because Toyota accepted the notion that large batches expressed as economic order quantities were efficient due to savings in shipping costs, and because overnight shipments of parts was expensive, it encourages dealers to order large amounts of parts of each part whenever they replenished. To make this attractive, Toyota paid the freight for large weekly batches and allowed dealers to send back up to 5% of the value of the weekly order for credit if they ordered too many parts of a certain type. Okay. So obviously, again, they're talking about batch, and we just assume that a warehouse is not another process, but it is. So they started out without a process and how they're putting product in it, and then we'll start talking about how they changed that around. Okay.